This is discipline 2, shot 4A. It's a one-handed jacked up spot shot. So the 3 balls on the spot and cue balls in the kitchen. I'm not going to demonstrate the shot for you right now because I'm honestly not that great at this shot. It's not a very high percentage shot for me. But the tips I can give you that I've figured out while practicing and watching other people, find a cue ball position and aim point that works for you. For me, I like the cue ball about a half diamond off the long rail, and I can usually use a half ball aim on the 3. It just gives me a better reference point to cut the 3 into the corner pocket. You can use that if you like to hit it a little thicker, then you can move the cue ball closer to the rail, but whatever works for you. Secondly, find your right grip on the cue stick. Now, for the artistic cup, you can actually use the rail, so you don't have to be jacked up, but you do have to you still can't use your bridge hand, and you can't use a groove that's created by the pocket and the rail. So you still have to keep a steady, straight stroke. That's a little bit of an advantage, and that should be easier to learn if you're not used to doing this. If you're going to do a one-handed, completely jacked up, when I was first learning, I like to find the balance point on my cue stick, kind of use that as the point where I grip the cue. And then I would get over the cue ball, and I wasn't too good at moving my arm back and forth like a regular stroke, doing it this way. So I ended up moving my body back and forth. And you don't need a lot of speed to get down the table and cut the 3 ball, so you don't need to lunge too hard, but a little shift forward was enough to get it going, and I was able to keep my stroke a little bit straighter using that. Some other techniques I've seen used, instead of doing kind of a regular pendulum grip, you can use a dart grip. And whether you want to use a dart grip, I'm just going to move the cue ball forward as an example. You can stand straight up and kind of look down the entire length of the cue and shoot that way. Or I've seen some people kneel all the way down and get a good view from behind the cue ball and shoot that way. And anywhere in between, obviously. So that's one thing you can also try. The other thing I can recommend is trying it with different cue sticks. If you have a masse cue or a jump cue that's shorter than your regular playing cue, try it with those and see if you can get a little more control using a shorter cue or a lighter cue or a heavier cue. So again, find the right position for the cue ball and your right aim point. Again, I like to use a half ball aim, and I'm at a half diamond off the rail. Figure out what grip stance works best for you, whether it's going to be at your balance point and using a pendulum stroke, whether it's going to be using your normal grip and coming off the rail, or using a dart grip, standing or kneeling. And then try it with different equipment to see if you can get a little more control using a shorter cue or a heavier cue or a lighter cue.